most benefit and value out of it and the most positive aspects out of it. What I would definitely say is that from looking at the different industries that I've worked in, and I've been blessed to work in many different with aerospace, gaming, entertainment, market research. I've seen many different viewpoints on this. But one thing is that if you're building a false culture that you're going to have a culture of innovation, it will come tumbling down very quickly, and that's why the positivity part is needed with it. So if we look at this now and say all of this together and say, what does this mean for the future? What does that mean for us? In my perspective, there is one thing I've seen in the MENA region, in UAE, Saudi, Egypt, every place I've been to so far, is that there is ambition is so strong about wanting to succeed and wanting to do great things and wanting to bring new ideas to the table. And yeah, sometimes bureaucracy or politics or other things get in the way, budgets, what have you. It could be a number of things. However, having that ambition is the foundation, is the cornerstone of being able to build this culture. And I cannot stress how important that. And this is like what I see as the opportunity for the people in this room, for the people in this region who are working in our various industries. This is actually a time for us to redefine what innovation is. And that's something that you don't get an opportunity to participate in much, because right now we're seeing many ambitious projects throughout the region. All over the place, there's a new one coming up each day, and we're seeing the progress made on those. A number of countries have different vision plans for 2030, 2031, et cetera, et cetera. And these are all great because when you look at them, there's a goal, and they want to do whatever it takes to get there. And if it means learning from different parts of different industries and different companies on how to get there, they're willing to do it. And we have to do that too. We have to shed some of these different definitions that we've built up and look back to going back to basics and understanding what makes those innovative things like the Airbnbs and the toothpaste squeezer, things like that. What are the characteristics that we can bring into our own products? The only challenge with this is that when we look at this opportunity to build a culture, the challenge is are we going to take it? Are we going to accept it? Because there's many elements that go into that. And if you want to build that culture of innovation in your company, if you want to be the evangelist to bring it to the table, there's a few things that we have to do. And that means evolving the definition of innovation. Understanding what are you trying to do? Why are you trying to do it? What is the benefit? What is the value that you're looking to get? What is the end state there where you want to be, and how do you work backwards to it? And are you ready to make those fundamental changes and have those cultural changes to truly be able to innovate? Now, on top of that, like I said, there's certain things that you have to do. Empower. You have to empower your teams. You have to build a culture where you're empowering people to be honest, authentic. I always resort, in my mind, to the Scrum values because they've always held a very, very special place in my heart for a number of years. And when I look at those, if I can have those characteristics in my team, openness, courageousness, all those things, for me, having an empowered team means that we are going to have a number of different opinions, a number of different arguments, but at the end of the day, we're going to be together as one team, bringing something to the surface that hasn't been seen before. And that only comes when the team is comfortable and empowered. Invest. This is something I've told our leadership a number of times, is that if you want to be able to get rich, get the richness of innovation, get the richness of agile, you have to invest. It's like the stock market in a way. If you put money in the stock market and it goes well, you make money. If you're not willing to invest the time, the resources, if you're not willing to invest yourself into the process, then you'll face much bigger challenges. The investment is actually one of the greatest things as leaders in a company that you can do, because you're showing your team that you care and you're willing to take that first step to put profit aside or to put this aside or put that aside, and instead believe in your team that you hired and having them be able to take things to a new level. You have to change. One of the roles I've come to appreciate in recent years is of change management. And understanding how difficult that can be sometimes, especially when you're working across cultures, when you're working in different sized companies, different sized teams. But fundamentally, you have to look and take an honest look at yourself and say, all right, where do we have to change? What do we have to do to change? And what's going to happen if we don't change? And when I asked this of my team and asked them, like as a team, our team dynamics, when I ask them these questions, we've built the culture now to where it's very open about what do we have to do and why. And we use that as a measuring stick for us as we move forward as a team. And it happens because we recognize that change is inevitable. It's going to happen one way or another. And whether we look at it from, the world is constantly changing whether we're paying attention or not. And so that's why we have to be up to speed to constantly stay with that change and understand it and then execute on it. And the last one is experiment. Talked about a little bit about this earlier on, but with experimentation and having the ability to experiment, this means you're going to have a lot of ideas thrown on the wall. This means you're going to invest time in things that might not be successful. But you will learn from those opportunities. You will learn from those experiments. And for every 20, 50 experiments you do, you're going to find one piece maybe of one experiment that's going to be the seed that you plant that's going to end up being something massive and changing the game within your own industry or with your own company. And that's why you need to have that mentality of these 4 different things, because without that, it goes back to what I said earlier. You're either being agile or doing agile. Well, it's either you're being innovative or you're doing innovation. And to me, that's a very, very place close to my heart, because in the space of where we design products for many different kinds of audiences, different user segments, I want them to know that if you think about it this way, is that when you go to a restaurant for the first time and you take a bite of that meal, right away, that first bite, you know if you're going back. Everything you've had up to that point, how they greeted you, the menu, everything in that sense, you know right away if you're going to go back to that restaurant. And they didn't get there just by throwing ideas against the wall and just picking random ones. They experimented, and they had a lot of change in a lot of different areas. And so that's why I always use that analogy of the food, because I want that first bite of my product to be something they're going to come back to and something that'll be part of their daily lives, which to me is truly innovation. So finally is that innovation isn't complicated. And like I said, it's something that's in each and every one of us. It's a matter of if we're going to find it. But innovation in itself is not complicated. Culture is complicated. Culture is a multi-layered cake that is very, very complicated, but it is doable with just having direction, focus, and an open mind to it. If you give a little bit to your teams, or give a little bit within the industry that you're in about building this culture and understanding the challenges that come with it, you will get a lot back from it. And you will be able to then understand what was the Steve Jobs of the world's thinking when they created the iPhone. How did they see the future? How did they understand what was coming down the pipe? And it was because they had the culture, they had the mindset, and they had the courage to do it. And so for me, that's where I see as we move forward into 2030 and beyond, we need to embrace this mindset and truly take it to heart, put it on the table, take it to our teams, and make some great products. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.